Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to our events. Welcome back to people that we admire and that have something to say. First of all, let me thank proper our partners and our sponsors for staying with us, and we really appreciate it in times like that. Rules and of engagement. Of course, everybody turn the microphones off. I would suggest to keep the camera on so we can see each other as much as possible. But on the session of Q&A, to have it in the chat, and I will talk to Professor Llado for questions. So thank you for coming again. I would like to point out some aspects on just a second on the next event. Our next event is going to be on Tuesday with Sergiu Mana, the CEO of BCR. Also, what I would like to say, it's about our application. Please, as we launched this application this month, we want to have clear communication to you guys and not to overload your mailbox. So I know we're still running in few problems here and there, but we'll fix them. For people that did not download the app, please do so. Will be much easier further on to check in our events and to keep in touch. For the ones that have, please also check in to the events once you attend. So we don't, when we communicate stuff for the event, we don't want to send to everybody. We just want to send to the ones that are in the event. So our app is up and running. For some of you that might, I don't know, they might misplace the email. We either ask us, ask me, ask Sandra, ask for the people in Cluj, ask Karina. We can help you. The email was sent on the 4th of this month. So if you look on your step-by-step procedures of downloading the app, you find it in your mailbox from the 4th of March, from the 6th of March. And
6th of April.
April. Sorry, Sandra. Good point. 6th of April. But ask us, and we'll be right there helping. Today, we have the pleasure to have an all-star with us. He's been with us sometimes, and every time he had some of the most appreciated events of all time. And he is a professor of strategic management and leadership. He is a regular lecturer at IESE Business School. He had sessions, he conducted various leadership and strategy sessions to more than 16,000 executives, many countries, many nationalities. What I like also, of course, my sports side, it's a member of the Strategy and Economic Commission of FC Barcelona. He has an extensive executive experience, CEO of Group President at Sara Lee Bakery, CEO of Bimbo Spain, VP of Marketing and Sales at Bimbo, VP of New Business at PepsiCo, Frito-Lay Spain, and so on. He was elected Spain's best executive in 2000 by the Spain's Business Association, AED. Professor Miquel Llado. Thank you, Miquel, for being with us today. It's great seeing you again, and can't wait to listen to you.
Good. Thank you very much, Virgil. So, well, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be connected. I mean, technology fascinates me every day. So I'm listening myself now.
I know we might have some microphones on, so people please might forgot something, but no, it's just it's okay now.
Okay, so You know, we are gonna have this 75 minutes presentation, discussion today. My thinking is about devoting 40 minutes for join the reflection, and during the presentation, I'm gonna ask a couple of questions that I would like you to use the chat. And then, you know, I will ask Virgil after a few minutes to tell me which are the most relevant answers and more common answers from you, just to comment on them. Then we'll have at the end around 30 minutes for a Q&A, should you have any questions, and we'll lead the questions from chat as well. So you send the questions, you know, you put the question in the chat, and Virgil will help me to organize and screen the questions for me to answer them, should you be interested. If any question remains unanswered, you know, it will be a pleasure to me to answer that. That's why you have here my contact email and my LinkedIn account, or you can contact me through CEO Clubs. At the end of the, you know, the Q&A, I will take advantage to recommend you a book that reminds all of us that it's not easy to think long term. And it requires an effort, you know, a real effort. We have an inclination, natural inclination, to search for solutions, immediate solutions to problems that are troublesome to us. But you know, we have a tendency to think more about today than about tomorrow. That's why today I will try to reinforce the idea that the building the future already today is very important for all of us. All right, let's go for the presentation. By the way, you have digital copies of all these slides, so don't worry about if you miss some of the points. Let me go here. Okay. All right, first of all, you know, I like to, many times, I like to reinforce this concept. When I was in PepsiCo, I didn't meet him personally, but I read about John Schooley. John Schooley was the guy that was hired by Steve Jobs, and they made a great team. They got some differences, but during a certain period of time, they built the company Apple that has been so successful so far. And he was using that concept, and for those that come from finance, you understand that this concept is return on equity. He was suggesting to switch the letter E not to the word experience, making the point about return on experience is very important in our lives. His message was that it's not important the amount of experience that we have. The important thing is what we do with experience we have. So it's not important, if I may, what's going on today. What's important is what we do, what's happening to us today. So just for this session, I encourage you to take these 75 minutes as an experience itself. So I encourage you to do something with it. It's not just going to the movies, in your case, and seeing the presentation from Miquel Llado, which is fine. It is my intention, it's my wish that you get something from it. So I would recommend you to write down things, messages, and try to do an effort to get things to call to action. Do something with that. It's not, if you don't do something with the things you're going to be listening today, it's like you not being here. So try to force yourself. I know that we are in our houses, for many of us, or in our offices, and we have a lot of things to do, but you know, it's my recommendation that you get the most from this session and try to do something with it. Those that know me, you know that I like to share this thought with you because I think it's about thinking. When I finished my executive life in PepsiCo and in Sara Lee and Bimbo, and I started delivering sessions at the SA and other business schools, and when I've had the opportunity to deliver sessions to your CEO clubs, you know, I was feeling some kind of uneasy because I was thinking, how come I dare to talk to people that know more about their businesses than I do? Imagine banking industry, aviation, oil companies, mining companies. How much do I have to know to entitle myself to talk in front of all people? Because, you know, it's impossible that I get to know more about, for instance, travel than Javier, you know, or, you know, about clubs like Sotiris, you know, it's impossible. But when I found this thought from Socrates, I felt very comfortable because it was not about teaching, it's about making people think. So this thought about I cannot teach anybody anything and I can only make them think, make myself very comfortable. So, let's take advantage of these 75 minutes just to think and to reflect about all the concepts I'm going to be sharing with you. From my perspective, we are under a storm. I mean, and the storm, the good news of storms that they pass. All right. So after a certain period of time, they pass. Of course, this storm is kind of uncertain. It's complex. It's not defined in timeline. Different countries have different situations. What's going on in the United States? What's going on in Spain, in Italy, in Romania? United Kingdom. It's impacting everybody. It's global. Is at the same time. And it's a storm of offer and demand regarding economy. So it's something that is happening, and my message, it's that it will pass, and we have to be ready to pass it, and at the same time we have to be ready for the day after. So I would like now you to use the chat while I will keep you sending messages and writing the word. What word comes to your mind in the current situation? And then I will ask Virgil in a couple of slides to tell me which are the most common words that you're using. But try to put in one word what you feel now. What you're feeling? What's the word that you would choose for that? All right. While you're writing, I'll continue with the presentation. I organized the presentation in these four chapters, what I call key drivers for a new world. And I made the acronym of life for all of us to remember that today we talk about leadership, we're going to be talking about immediacy, we're going to be talking about future, and we're going to be talking about digital. So it's what I consider that are key drivers for a new world. Let's go with the L. Regarding leadership, let me tell you, I've been reading and talking to many people and companies. I give advice and students from all over the world about this situation. And let me tell you, I think that one important thing is leadership. Of course, we'll talk about some initiatives, how we organize ourselves, which things we have to think first about, what about workforce and what about strategic thinking and so forth. But let me tell you, it's about leadership to start with. That's why I picked the word leader to start with. And when thinking about leadership, I like to put the word mindset. It's a matter of mindset. It's a matter of, how you confront that. What do you think? You have more positive thinking or more negative thinking? You have more thinking of possibilities or thinking of limitations. And let me tell you, it's optional. It's our decision. It's nobody will impose our thinking to, the way we have to think. So when I see this kind of mindset in the possibility side, on the positive side of seeking solution side, I see a difference in the results. And we've seen all of us for sure, different results in the past, even though we were not living a crisis like we are living today, but we all have had crises in the past. We lost customers, we got some failure in some products, and we had to overcome the situation. So the words, I picked 8 words here: courage, resilience, calm, adaptability, flexibility, creativity, decision making. Before going to the stress management thing, I think these are 8 characteristics that are very important to have to overcome this situation. I picked the picture of New York here. You see the image of Liberty Tower. The Liberty Tower is a tower that was built, where the twin towers were built before destruction. And I had the opportunity to live in New York, for a couple of years. And let me tell you, I've seen this mindset in that city. And I think it's the mindset we have to have. And we all know that New York is having a tough time now. That's why I also like to remember that city that gave us so many, happy moments. And for sure, they will get back to normal. But certainly, this spirit of, of reinventing yourself, of rebuilding, the building where a disaster took place. I think is the kind of character we need for the future to come. Regarding the last point on this page, regarding the stress management, I think that managing under the circumstances of stress is very important. And it's very important for company leaders, because if we are not able to overcome the stress and organize our thoughts and be calm and lead our people to the right place, probably we are not the leaders we should be leading that organization. And during this time as well, you'll have the opportunity to read the kind of leaders you have in your organizations. So it's a great assessment time. Because if I may, leading a company with everything goes fine, it's relatively easy with all the challenges we all have. But now in turbulent times is where you're going to be seeing the true leaders. And we're going to be talking a little bit about that. But let me make a point about the stress management. The guy on the right and the left side of the picture, but the guy on the guy that's on the right side of the picture is Alessandro Campagna. I was with him in Bologna, not even 1 year ago. And I remember we were sharing the stage in one conference over there. And one of the questions, and by the way, Alessandro Campagna, he's the coach of the water polo team of Italy that he made to the World Cup in, last year, the last World Cup. And he is a gold medal, Olympic medalist in Barcelona when he was a player. And people was asking him, hey, Alessandro, could you tell us how, one of the characteristics that make you pick the players that are going to be part of your team? I would say, well, in Italy, we have many good players. But if I had to pick one of the characteristics that I picked for the people to be in the team, are the guys that are able to play under stress. Because if you have a very good player, during the first half of the game, it's relatively easy. You have capabilities, abilities, you pass the ball, you score, you're a team member. When everything is relaxed, you have plenty of time. But when you don't have that much time, and during the last 3 minutes of the game, you are there with the ball and you have to, throw the ball or pass it to somebody else. And do you have the stress of if you make it, you get the World Cup. And if you don't make it, you don't get the World Cup. You really see the great players there. So I pick those players that I understand that under stress, they're going to be performing at very high level. I think that in these circumstances, we have to think about how good we are at leading under stress circumstances. And what I was saying about the opportunity to assess our teams is to read which ones are really high performers under stress circumstances. Because if you find these people, give them, all the opportunities to grow in the organization, because these are the guys and the girls to make a difference in the future. So just an example, that, links sports and management. I think it's a great point about being very good at stress management. All right, I went and I did some research, and certainly we have a virtual situation as we're doing now with the cameras. And I was looking about virtual leadership. And one of the things is that these are moments for true or of true leadership. True leaders will make a difference. Sometimes we're leaders, sometimes we're followers, and because now of the distance, we have to do very good at managing that. So let's see there are many theories and many concepts about this. And I picked a couple just for us to have a clear understanding of what scientists say, which are going to be one or several of the key characteristic of dimensions that will make a difference in terms of leading. Let me go for the first one. The first one is that there is a theory about transactional leaders. You can go to internet and read as much as you want about this concept. The concept, in a few words, to make a long story short, is that it's transactional. Is that why I picked the picture of this bar, this cafeteria. You get some product, you pay, you give the credit card, you pay money, you get something. There are leaders that lead like this. You pay a salary, you get a return. You don't pay a salary, you don't get a return. And that scientists say that, transactional leaders are not as efficient or as effective as transformational leaders. And the more I've read about it, they're talking about transformational leaders really being even more important when the tough time comes, like now, in virtuality, when you don't have the face-to-face relationship that we used to have, or we are not having that face-to-face relationship with the same dimension. The good thing for me is that, you know, and now I'm going to be sharing you some characteristics with of the transformational leaders, that it's good news. It looks like humanity, people that are able to be close to people, people that are able to listen to people, people that care for people, you know, are going to make a difference. So it's not time based on scientifics for transactional leaders, but it's time for transformational leaders. They say that they get better results, and more so in this virtuality reality that we're living. Let me share with you 4 dimensions of transformational leaders that I would like you to think about them, to see how much or how good you are at these dimensions of this transformational leadership, and more so think about the people you have in your team, because the more transformational leaders you have, the better off you're going to be for the future based on the scientific analysis that I've been able to go through. How are these transformational leaders? Well, one of the things that these leaders are charismatic. Charismatic, you know, meaning that they provoke devotion, you know, and loyalty. People are loyal to them because these leaders are able to build up a compromise around values, and they reinforce the collective, the relevance of the mission as a collective, as a collectivity, not individually. All right. So of course we all know that there are charismatic leaders that probably they have it more natural, people that, you know, they are naturally charismatic, but certainly we can do better at living our values, walking the talk, making, you know, the vision, the mission clear for the company. By the way, you realize that the person is charismatic when you go into a room and you see that person over there and you say, I want to stay in that room because something is going to happen. Something is going to happen, so I want to stay there. Or if somebody, a charismatic leader or person, you know, by the way, leader could be anybody in the organization, could be the person at the reception, could be the CEO, could be the sales guy, could be, it doesn't go with the stars, of the position. So you feel that when a charismatic leader gets into the room, you want to stay in that room. You get the feeling that something is going to happen. It's going to be good. It's going to be, nice. It's going to be, very, very, probably decisions are going to be, consistent, that walk the talk I was talking about. So charismatic is one of the dimensions. And as I said, it's for you to think how between 1 and 10 are you in this charismatic thing and, about the organization. The second one is, those leaders are inspirational. They inspire through emotions and feelings. They are able to transfer, an enthusiastic vision of the future. They are being realistic. They have their own the confidence in achieving, objectives. Doesn't matter their circumstances. You may have good times, bad times, but come on. First, you have to inspire yourself. And second, you have to be able to inspire others. That's why those others have picked us to be the leaders. So they expect, they expect us to be leading the organization towards a better future. So these guys are inspirational. And you may find them anywhere, and as I said, everywhere in the company. The third dimension for the transformational leadership. Those leaders are intellectually stimulating. I love these two words. And I never thought that these, or hardly thought that this was going to be one of the abilities, but certainly when I read about them, I want to share them with you. They challenge people. They ask questions. They make people think. They don't just tell people what to do. If you tell people what to do, after 5 years, they're going to become totally useless. If you have an organization, or we know of organization, that people just do what they are told to do, think now about them being in the distance. you will not have the opportunity to keep telling all of them what to do in the distance. I mean, if you're not built that, stimulation by themselves and going there, it's a challenge. By the way, it's different putting pressure than challenging people. For instance, let me put you an example. Putting pressure. If I may, Sotiris, if on July 31st, results are not better, you and me are going to be having a different conversation. That's putting pressure. What Sotiris would do then immediately would call his family or call a headhunter saying, I don't get the trust from Miguel, and so probably I have to go somewhere else. But if I tell Sotiris, if on July 31st we don't get better results, the company or the organization is going to be in a difficult situation. What can I do for you? What do you need from me? Do you have any ideas? Can we share thoughts? Then Sotiris, with that kind of offering, he doesn't have time to talk to a headhunter. He doesn't have time to talk to his family because he's part of the solution. He's not going to be feeling himself that he's part of the problem. So, and when you are part of the solution, you want to be you want to be in that project. So I like very much this stimulating, intellectually stimulating thing. The third one. Let's go for the fourth one. Individually considerate. Two beautiful words put together. Those leaders recognize the needs and abilities of each member of the team. It's not the same for everybody. They treat people like individuals. They develop them like individuals. They are able to read the potential that they have. Some may go to the moon, some may go to another planet, some may stay here. But it's very important to have this individual consideration based on scientific, analysis from these professors going to understand that. So let's go to see if you can be better at charisma, you can be better at inspirational, intellectual stimulating, and, considerate your people individually. I picked that picture that I like very much. The concept is that, I tried to summarize based on my experience. And I was saying, how can I can make the link to the real world in that sense? And I found and I thought about this sentence about making them feel you. I mean, if they cannot see you because they are in their houses or in their places, or I don't know how dramatic or how extreme is the situation in Romania, but certainly in Spain, and here in Spain, we already have been 40 days working from home. So if people don't feel you, if people don't feel that you are there for them, or they are there for you, or you are not paying attention to them more in a way that they feel that you are paying attention about what they are doing, I mean, we are going to be losing something. When I was traveling so much, when I was with PepsiCo and Bimbo going once a month to the United States, I remember some days, some trips took 1 week or more. And I remember I was talking to my parents and I was telling them, I'm sorry that month because I've not been able to see you and come to see you. And, I feel like bad, but I've been there. And they were telling me, Miguel, don't worry. We don't see you, but we feel you. And these answers gave me a lot of strength during those times. And now in the situation that we are not able to see our people, that thought came to my mind and I wanted to share that with you. If people feel you, that's very powerful, very powerful. So, make everything you can to your people to feel you. Don't call them to control them. Just to control them. Of course, you have to ask questions, but pay attention to what they need, how they feel. Our houses are getting smaller and smaller, no matter how big they are, how small they are. So leaders are the ones to make that house bigger, that space bigger, give you room. Come on, make you think about the future is going to be, bigger than it is today. And I'm referring to the whole stakeholders, our people, our bosses, our boards, our customers, our suppliers. Yesterday, I was talking to a group of professionals that were saying, well, you know what, Miguel, we have to take good care of suppliers because if they close, I mean, certainly we'll have to start again. So I'm taking good care of them. I pay attention to what's going on with them. They are part of my system, no matter if they are not in my payroll. My value chain, my supply chain depends on them as well. So I'm taking good care of them, and made me think a lot about it. And then I put those batteries here. And I was putting about the mess that we are battery chargers. So if we're not able to, when we call our people, that to leave them with more battery or more energy that they had before talking to them, let's not talk to them. We are not doing our job. I mean, we are there to make these guys to have more energy. So we cannot let them with less energy. We have to be able to enthuse them. I mean, hey, by the way, for a salary, people, we work. But for a project, we give blood, tears, and sweat. Okay, so it's very important that we are able to transmit that. Let me take that minute. And Virgil, from the first question about the words that people were having in their mind during these times, could you share with me some of the words that people were saying?
Yeah, the most common, I mean, more written were uncertainty and change. These were the most used words. Not too much, but on one side, we also had anxiety. We also had lack of control. But I liked a lot the prevail, retooling, reinvent, experience, excitement, adaptation, a lot of change. I don't know, change in environment or change ourselves, but there was a lot of people saying the word change and uncertainty.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much, Virgil. I will build some answers on the go, but regarding uncertainty and change that we are facing, remember, we've been learning about change many times, but we didn't believe it. Or we were comfortable with status quo because, I mean, we are, we have our positions, we have our salaries, with all the circumstances that the time to change a house, the roof of the house, is when it's not raining, because when it's raining, maybe we are late. So one of the things that I would recommend is learn from these days, from this experience. Probably we did things good in the past that are allowing to have a better situation now, or maybe we didn't do things in the past that are not allowing us to have a good situation nowadays. So the most important thing is to learn about it. I like very much the thought from Warren Buffett that he says, the worst thing from a crisis is not to learn from it. So one thing we cannot afford is to learn from it, to reflect about what thing we could have done better and what things we have to do better, and not just to focus on the past, but focus on the future. And certainly the uncertainty thing, it's part, I mean, let me tell you, it's part of the business world. I don't know, as managers, as leaders, as business people, I mean, we're facing problems constantly, and we have to be ready. We are not here to avoid problems. We are here to manage problems. And now, this thing happened, and I like to think about, we've been, until now, like training. We've been, warming up. And now we are in the final. We are in a great game. We are in the finals. We have to make that game. And now it's time for us to prove that all what we learned, what we studied, what we discussed, all our experiences are to win this game. So it's very important that we use all the things we learned in the past to make them good use of them. And yeah, we've heard all these years about VUCA, the volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity that we're going to be facing in the future. The point is that this came too fast. It's like 10 years happened in two weeks. But yeah, I agree with you. We are in an uncertain situation, and this anxiety, this loss of control. But guys, if I may, it's up to us. So it's our mindset, the way we face the situation, the problem, and the obstacle. It's gonna make a difference. Having said that, let me share with you some thoughts to make to try to help you with this situation. Let's go for immediacy. Okay, we have life, immediacy, and the second concept of this. You know, reading, we have the benefit of having companies like McKinsey and Boston and all these guys, and let's take advantage of these companies. You can have access to internet, you know, to any of these companies, what they're saying, you know, almost daily or weekly. And what I like very much, and I summarize that for you, I found these immediacy recommendations from McKinsey, and I think there are 5 points that I like very much. First is thinking about the workforce. You need to understand about the health of your people, how are they doing, where they're going to be working from. If you can, you know, retain them, you have to send something, you know, to do some salary changes or whatever, but understand, you know, workforce, you know, everything related to them. The second one, the supply chain. I was talking about suppliers. You have to understand, you know, how your origin doing and your final doing things, which things you have to stop doing, which things you have to keep doing. You know, it's part of the system. Customers, you have to understand, if you are servicing customers from the restaurant business, at least in Spain, I mean, they're completely closed. So these restaurants, you know, are not getting people there. Or if you have customers that are in the food industry, these guys are open and they have a lot of, you know, sales. So you have to be able to supply them with products they need. The fourth one is understand the financial stress. It's very important to very good to understand the financial situation. You cannot have wishful thinking. I mean, we are responsible to understand where we are, to read the environment, and then make the tough decisions. And we have to understand that. If you have a healthy cash situation, you're going to be able to stay longer in the game. But certainly we have cash, you know, constraints. Certainly we're going to have difficulties, and then we'll need some extra financing for the banks. You know, that's very important. Regarding startups, those startups that were closed, they closed their rounds before the coronavirus thing. They are in good shape because they have several months of relaxing time. They are doing their work and fantastic. But those startups that they were not able to close, you know, the rounds, the financial rounds before the corona, now they are facing a situation. So you have to make your own decisions. You have to say, I heard about, you know, hibernation of some businesses depending on the sectors and depending on the situation. But it's very important you have a realistic understanding of which is the financial situation they're facing. And I like very much the fifth point. It's about the nerve operating nerve. And I like the word nerve because it means tension. It means, come on, I'm there to do my best, to think about it. And come on, it's up to me. I can listen to everybody, can hear everything, but then I have to make my own decisions because it's you that are in Bucharest, in that corner, in that sector, with those customers, with those numbers, and nobody else but you have, you know, the good answers, if I may. Okay, you may call it operating nerve, commission, crisis commission, committee, whatever you want to call it. But I think these 5 points have helped me with many companies I deal with. I think it's time to support, care, and cooperate. We have to do that. And to be able to give support, we have to care ourselves and to cooperate. I think it's not that just time for companies. It's time for sectors. So it's for industries. It's not time just for you know, individuals. It's time for communities. I think it's not one winning, it's the whole system winning, right? So I think Simon Sinek, I like it very much. He's saying it's not time for countries, it's time for humanity. And you've seen these days, I mean, countries disputing about, you know, material and so forth, and you know, it's a little sad, if I may. Come on, it is time for humanity and thinking about the whole, you know, the world and trying to cope with this all together, not regions by regions, but you know, that's the politics that we don't have, at least me, so much influence on. So, but I can influence my business, I can influence my community, and I have to see what I can do for them. Here I would like to ask you, you know, already through the chat, and I'll do the same with Virgil in a few slides, the biggest challenge for the future that you have. Which is the biggest challenge? If you can do it in one word or a couple of words, will be very useful. So use your thinking now and write down, you know, which is the huge challenge that you are facing. As you said before, with regarding the uncertainty and how you're feeling. I mean, let's use the chat, and I'll continue, and I'll get back to Virgin in a few minutes. Well, the day after. I mean, the day after the will come. Okay, so let me share an experience with you. On October 11, 2001, I was flying to New York City because the headquarters of my company were based in St. Louis, and New York was the connection to go to St. Louis in Missouri. October 11, 2001, 1 month after the collapse of the Twin Towers. I remember in the plane, probably a plane that was 300 seats over there, we were just flying 50 people there. I remember then we were paying attention who was getting into the plane, just because we were all, scared about terrorism, about all the things that would happen. And I went to New York City, and you know that when you go to New York at that time, New York police were not the most friendly ones. I remember I got into customs, and the police there, the policeman over there told me, "Thanks for coming back." And these days, this thought came to my mind again. And let me tell you, at that time, New York was thinking they were going to be facing a terrible situation, and maybe many people wouldn't like to go back to New York. We all have gone back to New York. And I remember it was tremendous time there. So I see the light. I expect and I hope that the light, and I'm sure because of my experience over there, that this will pass. So the good times will pass. The point is that how to cope with this immediacy that, will pass. So my message when people here in Barcelona, come for tourists, that, that tourism is very important in this city. I hope that everybody is kind enough to thank people for coming back, because we people are part of the city. It's not the monuments, it's not just the food, it's not just the weather, it's not that it's a restaurant, it's ourselves. So, let's be kind to the people when, they come back to our cities, Bucharest, Barcelona, or you name it. Let's go for the F, for the future. Let's see, we talk about leadership, which is very important, immediacy, some actions to be taken immediately, and for the future. I like very much the thought from this guy, Larry Page, founder of Google. He says, the main thing that has caused companies to fail, is my view, is that they miss the future. We cannot wait for the future to come to start thinking about the future. We have to think about the future now. So I understand that we are firefighting, we're coping with short-term things, but as I said at the beginning, that's our natural tendency. I encourage all of you to get a piece of paper, a blank piece of paper, once a week at least, couple of hours, write it down, see what's gonna happen. How do you foresee that future to be? Which things are gonna be different? Which things are gonna be the same? Which things are gonna be trends, and which things are gonna be fads? That when this is over will disappear. And with that, it's very important that we devote time to that. Nobody will do that work for us. Okay, what some people will do for us is reflect and show and share with us their thoughts, but then based on our reality, see which thoughts of this are going to be useful to help us to write this future that we need to write. Couple of ideas regarding that. One is the pestle theory. The pestle theory that's been written just for us to remember. It's an easy word to remember. It's thinking about politics, the economy, social, technology, environment, legal. How it's going to be? How is it today? How it's going to be in the future? Technology. Which things technology will bring to us? What about the legal part? How many conflicts will appear because people are facing a tough situation. Economy, how many people will get into unemployment? So, and for our people, we'll have to remember that before trying to get people engaged and motivated for our project. I mean, the Maslow pyramid, to remind us that the basics have to be covered before getting people engaged. I mean, the salary, the house, the food, and all the basics. That we have to pay attention to that, because if we try to motivate people and people are not being fairly paid because we cannot, we have to solve that first. Okay, so try to make your own analysis about politics in one page. Okay, anything will change, and then we'll see how we can adapt and how flexible we are to that. This is, a report from Euromonitor International talking about the trends in 2019. So this was before the coronavirus. And they're talking about 10 trends. And I just highlighted 4 of them. We were already talking about digitally together. We wanted to be remotely, connected. Imagine this was a trend and this is a reality nowadays. So certainly we have to be better at digitally, being digital. Finding HOMO, my HOMO, it means joy of missing out. It means staying home. People was loving staying home. Now we're staying home because we have to stay home. So it was a trend, but it happened, immediately. I want it now. The delivery companies like Globo, like Deliveroo, like Just Eat, all these companies are very useful for people that cannot get out, to get, the food or to get the price. So imagine, how important it is. And loner living, now we are living, maybe not lonely. We have the benefit of having families, but these are trends. It's for you to think which of these trends will continue happening and which trends will not be there. This report from Boston Consulting Group, it happened in March 16, so almost 1 month ago. And here they were asking this survey. You'll see on the left side, plan to spend more, a survey with consumers, and plan to spend less. But these are reports that you have to reflect for yourself. So as you can see on the left side, those that are in the organic foods, preventive health care, household care products, vitamin savings, they are on the good part based on this survey, okay? On the right side, certainly luxury, travel, outwear, restaurants, gambling are gonna be a challenge. So, the leadership part I was telling you about needed to reinvent things, or the retooling that you were talking about, more important on the right side. But certainly, it's possible, and we have to understand what we can do and what we cannot do with our business. That's why I picked that summary of this Harvard Business Review from these 2 professors, Reeves and Daimler, that they are saying that adaptability being the new competitive advantage. Sometimes we think too much of our companies that we are powerful because of the buildings that we have, the brands that we have, the assets that we have. Yes, certainly, but we have to think that one of our competitive advantages is our ability to adapt, and more than ever now. Right. So, and my thinking is that we are companies, and we are different. Companies are different than businesses. A company may have different businesses. If some business will have no future or a more troublesome future, that company have to adapt and use all the brains and talent that we have in the company to reinvent other places to go and do business. So the ability to see what thing will last and what thing will not last, this is our role. So I like very much this sentence at the bottom saying, learning how to do these things is very important. And taking advantage of the change management or change that you were talking about, Cotter is a professor of the United States. He's recommending to accelerate change, to move from hierarchy to working as coalitions and networking. So sometimes companies, or many companies, will work like hierarchies, and he recommends to do that kind of networking. And more so now that people are working from home and we are not face-to-face so much. So, for you to think about the organization, how you organize the change, this is a recommendation that comes from Qatar. And let's go for the digital part. Let me tell you, digital is becoming more and more important. And suddenly companies that were not ready for digital, now they surprisingly, they're behind. Look at this survey. It was made to 473 CEOs in 2019. And I just highlighted the 32%, meaning that just 1/3 of these 473 CEOs were saying in the top 3 priorities that IT was the top priority. I bet that now this is a top priority because either we're digital or we might be out. So think about this as CEOs that many of you are. And I highlighted the innovation. Look at this, just 8% we're saying innovation to be an important part of their, I mean, either we are creative now and we are able to using your words to retool or using the word reinvent, or we might be out of the, as a sector of a company of the game in the future. So I think that these two things, IT related and innovation, have to be part of the future. As an example, let me put you this example. When I'm talking about digital, I was thinking, what example I can bring to the table. And it's Estonia. Estonia is a country that was, under the Soviet Union influence until 1991. And it's a North country in North Europe, 1.5 million inhabitants. And these guys have decided to become the new digital nation. So everything is digital over there. So they call themselves Estonia. You can go to the website. My message here is that it's not about resources. It's not about having a lot of money. These guys, they don't have, like Norway, oil, plants. I mean, they have talent. They have talent. And they have talent that, until 91, they were based on the common education. And as of 91, they're a new country. They're making a difference. I think that we should have some kind of this Estonia mindset to understand that the future is digital. And we cannot wait no longer not to be technologically, really good and master the technology part of our life. Everything is many things are going to be digital, automation. And here I wrote 7 concepts that came to my mind: e-commerce, e-leadership, e-management, e-learning, e-coaching, e-negotiations, e-health. See how many things are going to happen. We cannot miss that future because we feel like we are not there for the digital. It's a must. Having said that, and before going to Q&A, Virgil, could you share with me which are the main challenges that people were writing about?
Yes, I saw reinventing a few times. A few times was new reality.
Okay.
Also to understand and adapt to the new reality, but keeping and remembering the lessons learned.
Okay.
It's another challenge. Gaining experience, improving, adapting. Again, uncertainty, not so much.
Good.
But reinventing was and the new reality was dominant.
Good. While you are sending, writing down questions for Virgil to pass to me, I'm going to be talking about the points that you're saying as new challenges. Certainly.
What I propose, Miquel, is to share the screen so everybody can see you.
Okay. Good. And in the meantime, they're writing. I'm not inviting you to talk because you are so many people, and we will not be able to answer everything. Remember, if some question remains unanswered, it's going to be a pleasure for me to answer them later. As I said, I think that if I should pick one word from the whole presentation here, you can ask to go to models and frameworks to help you with the strategy. And of course, you have many people in your organization to help you with that. Mindset is very important. Mindset is very important. And it's very important that you have in your organization people with the right mindset. It's not the same leading a company when everything goes smooth. It's not the same. One of the things you have to do is to think if people that you have in your organization are the right ones to lead your organization in these troublesome times. If you have people thinking more about limitations and they're more negative, they're not giving energy to the others, probably these guys are not good for these times in the company. And let me make you think about yourself. Are you this kind? Do you have this kind of mindset? Do you have the willingness to overcome all these situations, to think about new possibilities, the new businesses that are there for many people to take it? Or we are more anchored in the past and complaining about, wow, the future is going to be tough. Of course it's going to be tough. It's not going to be easy for most. But certainly there you will see in 10 years' time people that flourish and companies that will not. and will be not based on the resources in themselves. It's going to be based on the talent. That's why the idea of the Estonia that I was thinking about. Taking advantage of the learning. You know, get sometimes what we're learning and take your notebook and your learnings and from that to grow. You know, it's that we grow because we learn, because we reflect about things that we could have done better, on that we are doing good. You know, if I may, I recommend you to go to the videos that Andrew Cuomo, the mayor of New York, is doing every day at this time. I think it's 4 o'clock New York time. And he shares with the world for 20 minutes what's going on in New York. Let me tell you, he's using the word reinvent New York City. He's talking about that mindset. He's talking about, you know, it's not time for complex politics, you know, disputing with Donald Trump or other leaders, or talking about Connecticut or New Jersey. They are getting together, the governments are trying to be one team because they need to be united. So I recommend you to do that. And, you know, I think it's a great, you know, he's a great leader for what I see, you know, in difficult circumstances. That what we need now. Go ahead. What questions we have, Virgil? Hello? Maybe you have the mic mute.
Yeah. First of all, you didn't unshare the Q&A, but that doesn't matter. We have a question. Being a member of boards in startups such as Cabo, what are the lessons, strategic insights that you can share from startup world during this period that big companies can learn?
Well, let's think about the startups. You know, these guys are already used to have suffering every day because they never know what about the future is going to be look like in 2-3 months. They are fighting or struggling to get some funding. You know, this character, I think it's very useful. And this character, if I may, many big companies, we don't have it because we have resources, we have some status quo, we have more stability than resilience. And in this circumstance, I think that resilience is more important than stability. Those companies that go for stability, if the environment doesn't help you to go with the stability, we're going to be having more difficult times. So having people that have this resilience is what we can learn from the startups. And the second one is that, if I may, startups are companies and spirits that want to write the future. They don't just want to read the future. They don't want to do more of the same. They don't want to do things that many other companies. They don't come into a market to compete with other people. They want to create something. The word competition for them, if I may, doesn't exist. I mean, it's not all competing and gaining market share. They have the spirit of creating a new world, a new environment, something that didn't exist. I think that if we put that creativity part in our thinking, in our mindset, we're gonna be better off. Regarding the startups, I was saying that those that have the round closed, they're gonna have a good time. Those that don't probably have to wait until the times get better.
We have another one. What are the valid principles that you think will apply also into the new reality?
The principles, I think that will remain the same. You know, I think that one thing that we have to think is that things will come faster than in the past. You know, things are going very fast. In the past, business and projects were linear, but now it's exponential. In the terms that when something happens for good, we might have a huge success because exponential. But when something happens for bad news because it goes faster than before. So I think that's a new reality. But let me tell you, it applies everything. The leadership thing that I was talking about, we always will have immediacy. We always have to think about the future, the new future that we'll be facing in the future. We cannot wait for that to arrive. And certainly digital. We have to be very, look at this, how many businesses are collapsed today because they were not digital enough. You know, courts, you know, lawyers, notaries. Yesterday I had to go to the notary to sign a document for the bank. Why did I have to go there if we're supposed to stay home? Because the notary, come on, we have to become digital and think about all the technicality and technology opportunities that we have for our business. So, and let's recognize that we are behind. Most of us are behind. Look at supermarkets. They were not supporting the online system because they wanted people to go to their stores. Okay, now people will not be able to go to their stores. Or maybe here in Spain, they are not able to go as many times they used to go. And now they are behind with the online. If I may, shame on them. Shame of them. Because they had the opportunity. They had the red flag from Amazon and all these companies saying online is coming, and they were against that. And no, I want my consumers to come to my stores because the experience, come on, the experience can be as good as it is in online as it was in offline. But come on, let's think about our businesses and see how we're doing with that. I've seen restaurants here in Barcelona that they don't have the restaurant open, but they have opened the kitchen. And they're using Glovo, and they're having more sales now than just filling out the 40 tables that they had in the restaurant, because now they have thousands of tables at their availability for them in the Barcelona, thanks to the new technologies that companies like Glovo are bringing on board. But if the restaurant doesn't have the name of the customers, or they didn't care about the address, or didn't care about them, we're missing that. Yes? I don't hear you.
Sorry for that. I'm trying to keep it off because I know it's some echo in the microphone thing. You think this economic crisis in this year, 2020, will be tougher than the 2008, 2009, and why or not? Why?
This is my opinion, but it's my humble opinion. Not because I am in front of you, I have the truth. By my opinion, it's going to be different. It's going to be different. It's global at the same time. So I think that it should make us more united, more thinking about being a human, group that countries. I think that at that time we thought that it was something that was going on with the United States and their own politics in the world. I think it's different. Tougher, I think it came faster in our case because it's affecting everybody. But the way to solve it, I think, is exactly the same values and principles that made countries to overcome the ones in 2007, 2008. Of course, it was a financial crisis. Remember that we're scared about the amount of unemployment. It was very tough. It took 5 years to recover. And many didn't recover, and many did recover. That's why I think that one of the values that we have to do is this mindset and thinking, okay, let me read this situation. Let me understand that. And let's see what I can do with that. And as I said, now it's a game. Now it's something that we need to prove ourselves that what we learned in the past is going to be useful for now. Because let me go to, because as Virgil said, with the Football Club Barcelona, if you train, you win all the games, but you don't make the final, you don't win the final. Come on. You have to get Messi doing the scoring in that game. I mean, scoring in normal games, that's good. But scoring in the final, that's the most important thing. So now it's time for us to prove that what we learned in the past, it's going to be useful for us to be very, very good, high performance.
You talk about leadership and different types of leaders, and that's actually a process between leaders and followers. How that change in the process? I mean, is just going to be a hierarchical relationship of leadership?
My humble opinion again. I think that hierarchies have no future. I think that networks, it's part of the future. At a certain time, okay, at Center West, sometimes we are leaders, sometimes we are followers. For instance, if I was the CEO of a company, sometimes I'm following the people that are leading projects. I am the CEO. I have maybe more stars, but at that time I'm a follower, and then they follow me. So it's not a hierarchy that it stays and remains the same all the time. And I think this is the flexibility we need. Why I think that hierarchies, have not that much future as networks, because hierarchies make us slow, If I go from the bottom, I have to ask my boss, and my boss has to ask his boss or her boss, and then the boss, and then the boss makes a decision, pass the decision here. This is too slow for the market. Things go very fast. I like very much when you listen to the videos from Como, he says that change is fast and people are slow. And I agree with that. So we have to learn to be faster. And I think one of the answers is our attitude, but at the same time, the way we organize.
One more question. Other than investment cautiousness and cutting cost, what do you think large company will act like in the next 12 months?
What do you mean act like? What do you mean?
Like, what's going to be the besides the obvious, probably like fire department of cutting costs and being cautious?
Yeah.
What would be something common for the big companies?
I think that because they have the resources, I foresee big companies being able to move into the new businesses. If they are in some businesses that don't work, they move to other businesses and acquire other businesses or think about alliances. This is one thing that I foresee happening. Consolidation will happen because if the revenues go low, you need to consolidate. I see consolidation of banking industry. I see consolidation of insurance companies. I see consolidation of many companies because car companies maybe, because you need to get a critical mass, and then, but certainly they have to read the market and see if there's future there, and if not, we'll adapt. They should adapt, and they should be flexible to go for the business that will survive in the future. And one thing that I like very much before the coronavirus, the first time I read about the chief digital officer was from Starbucks, from the Schultz organization, that he picked or he placed the chief digital officer. Just few months before or weeks of the coronavirus, I like very much to read a company that was having a chief algorithm officer, meaning that you have data and somebody to know what to do with this data, because the data is not valuable itself. It's just to forecast things, foresee behaviors, foresee tendencies. So, and I love when I saw this chief algorithm officer. So if I was part of a big company, I would go with a position like this, to be very close to the CEO, very closely, because data and understanding what's going on and using the technology in your favor will help you to find solutions for your business.
Thank you, Miquel. These were the questions. Thank you for a great presentation. Thank you for your energy and inspiration. Please give us 3 minutes wrap up.
I don't know. Do you see my image now?
No. Yeah, we see you. We see you.
No, but you see the slides? No, I tried to share. Let me see if I'm lucky enough. Do you see the slides now?
Not yet.
Not yet. Well, I'll do my best and see. If not, I'll talk about it. Okay. See now? No.
No, not yet.
Okay. Well, one of the messages that I wanted to send you guys is that I have a picture here that you're not seeing, but it's the Carturesti bookstore at I believe Scani Strada in Bucharest. That you've been in that bookstore, and it's beautiful design, architecture, and I'm already thinking of the places I will go when all this quarantine thing finishes. So, and this is one of the places I want to go. I want to go to Carturesti bookstore because it's a beautiful place. Of course, I love, that I love Bucharest, and it's going to be one of the first planes I'm going to take as soon as I'm able to. And one of the reasons why I'm including that picture or that image, I tried you to send the image of this picture to you, is that because there I found a book that I read and I recommend to you. That's the book from Simon Sinek called The Infinite Game. All right, The Infinite Game. And it's a book that helps us to understand that games in the future are not finite, are infinite. We have plenty of opportunities. We have plenty of possibilities. We have a universe of many things to be done. And this is a great book to reinforce and inspire our mindset to become, a big thinker and think about all the opportunities that we have. For sure, we are part of a business that somebody developed or founded many years ago. Let's try to play the role of that founder today with the new circumstances, be able to read the environment and make our own decisions. So I recommend you to go for this book. And the last slide that you don't see is I put here, go live. Go live meaning, come on, go with this leadership thing, immediacy thing, future thing, and digital thing. And at the end of the day, it's living. We cannot stop living until everything is ready. Come on, it's our life. I don't know if it's going to last weeks, months, or what's going to happen in the future, but it's not waiting here to live until we have a better environment. It's our world. We have to make decisions. So go live and try to apply as many of these dynamics I was suggesting you regarding leadership, leading, and immediacy, taking the actions in the short term. Think already about the future and go digital, because the future is how I think it's going to be. So,
thank you very much. Thank you very much, Miquel. Thank you all of you for coming. I want to remind you about our app. Check-in events. Please give us some feedback. We need your feedback as we need to keep doing the extraordinary things. Turn the cameras on. Let us see you. Say something. Say hello. Say goodbye. We miss you. We do miss you, and we can't wait for that moment that we can actually, have a drink together and have this end of the meeting where we would say, okay, let's mingle some. So thank you again, Miquel, for being with us. Thank you all of you, and see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye bye.